I'm honored to have this opportunity to stand before you today, and I'm honored about the results in New Hampshire. And I want you to join me in this campaign, not just to talk about the issues in general, and also to talk about the future of our country, and about the changes that are bold but practical that we need to overcome the failures of the Bush administration, which have occurred for 6.5 years now. Too many Americans have been invisible to George Bush, but you are not invisible to me. I am ready to revamp the nation and give voices to all of you. If the war in Iraq is not over by the time I become president, I will make it my #1 priority to do so. I will work with my Joint Chiefs of Staff, Secretary of Defense, and National Security Council to have the troops out of Iraq as soon as possible. And we will work on a plan to have them start exiting at the very latest within 60 days of my presidential inauguration. I would also like to give the veterans as much benefits as they deserve, which is a lot. And I will work with the Department of Defense and the Departments of Veterans Affairs to provide quality health care and benefits to every member of the service, including members of the National Guard and Reserves and their families. I will also focus on stabilizing Iraq and not simply propping it up. This will include giving aid to the people directly through national, non-governmental organizations as well as governmental organizations, whichever is most effective in getting the money directly to the people. I will also appoint a highly United Nations representative to keep the peace, just as there is one in Afghanistan. I will also form a stabilization group with our allies as well as Iraq's neighbors to focus on non-interference, mediation, and fund reconstruction for the area. I feel this is the most effective plan to restore peace there. Also, I am very concerned that tens of thousands of Americans do not have health insurance. How can President Bush ignore these voices? My health care plan will reduce costs and increase quality of this health care for all Americans. My plan will make health care affordable through tax credits tax credits so families will never pay more than a certain percentage of their income. My plan will also be accessible because no American will be turned down due to prior existing conditions. My plan is also reliable because you will be able to take your health care with you if you leave or change jobs. My plan also has options. You can choose from dozens of private, public options, or keep your existing one if you're happy with it. Through my plan, insurance companies will compete because they need you as their customers. And this way, they will reduce their costs and increase their benefits. I've proven that my plan is capable, and I have proven my experience through health insurance measures with the S-chip. This now covers 6 million children in America. I have the strength and experience to ensure that every man, woman, and child in America has affordable and quality health care. The middle class is in trouble in America. President Bush has been looking out for oil companies and multimillionaires for the past 6 years. But I will look after the financial needs of all Americans. I will lower taxes by adding new cuts for college and health care, making each more affordable. I'm also concerned about the housing market, and I will work every day with lenders and forcing them to tell me exactly how they are turning unworkable mortgages into affordable loans for every American. Also, regarding foreclosures, I will put a 90-day minimum notification for residents so they will have time to prepare for a new residence for themselves. Also, I'm allocating up to $5 billion for foreclosed families so that they can succeed in their new lives and not continue to struggle. Also, I'm allocating $1 billion for heating emergencies so that every American will have heating, no matter what. I will stand up for all of you throughout this campaign. I'm asking you to stand up for me when it is time to vote. Then I will stand up for you every single day in the White House, standing up for our values, our principles, and for the changes we need to reunite our country, just as I have done in New York. I will be thinking about you and thinking about your families, your jobs, and your health care. I will be thinking about ways to restore our leadership and our moral authority around the world. Together, we will not only make history, but we will once again feel pride and progress in the nation that we love. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining me today. My name is Barack Obama. I am standing before you today with great hope for America. Today, we find our nation in a war that should have never been waged. We find ourselves dependent on foreign oil in a world in peril. We've never paid more for health care or education. We live in a today where all people don't have equal civil rights under the law, where each person's vote does not necessarily count, and where our nation is torn between political partisanship instead of being united by American issues. Now is the time for change. Now is the time to tackle the problems George W. Bush and his administration only made worse. I promise you, I'm going to tell you, the American people, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. I'm going to bring our troops home and make every effort possible to secure our country. I'm going to increase energy independence in order to reduce our economy's reliance on foreign oil and to provide future generations of America with an environment that's cleaner than the one we lived in. Healthcare should not be a luxury. I plan to make quality, affordable health care available to all Americans, just as I did in Illinois. Most politicians and ordinary citizens would agree that education is essential to the future success of our future generations. Yet, college costs have grown nearly 40% in the past 5 years. In fact, the average graduate leaves college with over $19,000 in debt. And between 2001 and 2010, 2 million academically qualified students will not go to college, not because they didn't get in, but because they cannot afford it. To tackle these problems, I promise to start from the foundation of education. I plan to increase funding for preschool and Head Start programs and address the high school dropout crisis, particularly amongst African American and Latino youth. I plan to increase after-school and summer programs in partnership with community organizations. I plan to make college affordable to all people by creating the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which will cover at least a portion of all college expenses. I strongly believe in the importance of education, so I will help to recruit, prepare, retain, and reward America's teachers. Democrats, Republicans, independents out there who have lost trust in our government, now is the time for change. It is time to give back the very constitutional freedoms that have made our nation the envy of the world. If there is one thing I've learned in my past, it is that together, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Despite recent primaries and so forth, I'm still up there, still convinced. And just to let you know, only 1% of the nation has voted so far, so we still have a lot more to go. There's still 48 states left, and my state as well, South Carolina, is coming up. So I'm very encouraged with that being said. In 1980, Ronald Reagan began his presidential campaign with a very simple maxim, and very simple indeed. It was, are we better off now than we are 4 years ago? Since that maxim was put out by him, it's now been really the pivotal phrase for which every administration, for which every constituency holds their legislators ideally accountable for their responsibleness, their responsiveness, and how they've acted within their term of legislation. I'm looking at the nation today, and I'm looking in a more holistic perspective. And I ask you deep down and sincerely from the bottom of your heart, what are you going to respond when you ask, are we as a nation now better off than 4 years ago?
No. No.
Thank you. When my parents were raised in this great nation, life was really much simpler. But on that same note, America was a bit more complex, and on the same end, it was also very promising in its own perspectives. Honorable jobs were readily available for the young, and relatively unskilled Americans could advance their social class regardless of their social standing or regardless of their wealth status. Healthcare was within reach,